Hi, this is a GMAT question from gmatquestions.org. Section A of a basketball arena has 20 rows with 50 seats in each row. What was the average number of occupied seats per row in Section A during a certain game? During the game, there was an average of 15 unoccupied seats per row for the front 15 rows. Number two, during the game, there was an average of 12 unoccupied seats per row for the back 5 rows. Okay, again, a weighted average. So here we are looking for the occupied seat, but here we are given unoccupied. So, number one, if there are 15 unoccupied seats, as it's an average, this is going to correspond to 5. Is it 5? No. There are 50 seats here. So let's be careful. So it's actually 35 occupied seats per row. Now this is for the first 15 row, the front 15 row. Okay? Okay. Now the problem is we don't know anything about the back 5 row. In order to do the weighted average, usually we have two groups here. Is the group of 50, the first 15 row, and the other group is back 5 rows. You know, if you know about weighted average, usually we have groups, and each group has a number of entities. Here, the groups would be the first 15 row, that's the first group, and the second group is the back 5 rows. Okay, and something is happening within each group. Okay, I hope I made myself clear. You understand that. Now, the problem here in number one, in order to do the average number of occupied seats per row in section A, we need to know what's happening in the back 5 rows, but we don't. So I would say no information. No info about back 5 rows. And because of that, number one is not sufficient. Okay, we don't have to waste time on this. That is pretty clear, I think. Number two, we are given that there was an average of 12 unoccupied seat per row for the back. Now, again, this will not be enough. The reason why I'm writing this is maybe if we do it together. Sometimes, even though one statement is not enough, it doesn't mean you don't do anything, because that thing you do, you may use it for together, where you do it together. So remember that on the GMAT. Even though you can tell that number one is not enough, it doesn't mean you don't write anything. You know in your mind that it is enough, but you still have some time to write some information you can use later. So remember that. So here we have 12 unoccupied seats. So this gonna is the same as having, but essentially we have 50 seats here in each row. Okay, so 12 unoccupied seats. This is basically 50 minus 12 is what? 38. So this is 38 occupied seats per row. Again, this is an average, okay? Per row. Okay, correspond to that because we have 50 in each row. So, as I said, no info about front 15 rows. So because of that, number 2 not sufficient. Okay, number 1 not sufficient, number 2 not sufficient. Let's try them together. Now, so far I haven't really written the average we are looking for, the weighted average. Maybe this is the time to do so. So I would call it the average of you know, occupied by seats per row. Now that's okay to write all of this because this is going to be equal to, I hope you can read this. My writing is bad here. Hold on, let me just write it better. Occupied seats per row, this should be equal to the number of seats per row for the first 15, which is be careful here, 35, not 15, times what? Times 15, right? Because 35 per row plus 38 here times 5 divided by what? What do we divide by? Remember, unoccupied seat per row. Per row, this tells you that you have to have row at the bottoms. Okay, so this is going to be 15 plus 5 because they say per row. Okay, so really, if you want, the weight here is 15 and 5. Okay, the number of row here. Okay, so this is important, and so what we need to do now is just to calculate this. But you can see right away we can do it. Really, we can, because there is no overlapping between the 15 front row and the 5 back rows, and that's why, as you can see here, we can do it. There is information about the front 15 rows and the back 15 rows, and we have the order data, and because of that we can do this. Please don't do this. Do not do this. Okay, you're wasting your time if you do it. It's now clear that we can do it. We have enough information to calculate the average. Okay, so because of that, we can tell that the correct answer is C in data sufficiency. C is the correct answer. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. This is a GMAT question from gmatquestions.org.